this. I'm going to tell you all a little story. Story of Jesus. Story of 40 brave soldiers for Christ. Let me see. Okay, let me try this. 1600 years ago, the pride of the Roman army, the 12th Legion, was stationed at Sebastia, just south of the Black Sea. It was midwinter, and a harsh order had just come by messenger from the capital at Constantinople. Reigning as emperor at this time was Valerius Licinius, whose vicious hate for Christianity had caused the death of untold thousands of martyrs. Snow was falling as the new emperor's orders was read to the soldiers standing at attention. Under penalty of death, read the commander, all members of the Roman army must at once offer sacrifice to the emperor and acknowledge him as the only true God. No one blinked an eye. They were Roman soldiers, the most highly decorated in the world. But every mind immediately went to the 40, among them their ranks, who were Christians. The same thought went through each soldier's mind. The Christians would never sacrifice to the emperor. They would never desert their God. 40 brave soldiers for Jesus. 40 brave soldiers for Christ. We'll be true to our God and stare death in the face. Though we perish on this lake of ice, we'll be 40 brave soldiers for Christ. As soon as the soldiers were dismissed, the captain came to the commander's tent and informed him and announced that there were 40 soldiers who would not perform the sacrifice to the emperor. They were immediately arrested and put in the custody of Aglios, the chief jailer, who marched them off to military court. The commander opened the trial as formality by saying, of all the soldiers who served the empire, none are more loyal or needed by us than you. Do not turn our love and respect to hate and contempt. How important can this Jesus be? Bow down to the emperor, and this will all be over. But the leader of the 40 said firmly, the word of God says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. We have made our choice. We will not sacrifice to the emperor. We will devote our lives to the living God. 40 brave soldiers for Jesus. 40 brave soldiers for Christ. We'll be true to our God and stare death in the face. Though we perish on this lake of ice, we'll be 40 brave soldiers for Christ. Because he did not have the authority to sentence the Christians to death, the commander had to wait for the arrival of the inspector general, who would be making a visit to the 12th Legion in about a week. The Christians were put in the custody of Aglios, the jailer, for that entire week. When the general came, he agreed with the decision of the commander and gave the Christians a choice: worship the emperor or be delivered to torture and death. The Christians remained firm. You can have our armor, they said, our names, our very lives. We have made our choice. We prefer God. Then the soldiers heard the sentence. They were to be bound with strong rope and led to the shore of the nearby frozen lake. For at sundown they were to be stripped and marched to the middle of the ice. At any time they could change their minds and go through the ritual of sacrifice to the emperor in a heated bathhouse on the lake shore. Aglios, the jailer, who had been caring for the soldiers for a week, watched as the soldiers were stripped and marched shivering onto the ice and into the darkness. Guards were posted all around the shore to make sure they did not try to escape. As they marched, they sang, 40 brave soldiers for Jesus, 40 brave soldiers for Christ. We'll be true to our God and stare death in the face, though we perish on this lake of ice. We'll be 40 brave soldiers for Christ. For a while their song echoed all through the camp. But as the hour of midnight approached and the temperature continued to drop, their voices grew more and more weak. Then one of the 40 was seen emerging from the darkness. He was giving up. He would sacrifice to the emperor. He fell on his knees on the shore and began crawling to the bathhouse. Only Aglios the jailer was still awake to hear the thin voices of the men on the ice shiver. 39 brave soldiers for Jesus. Aglios watched as the man entered the bathhouse and emerged quickly, apparently overcome by the heat. He saw the man collapse on the ground and be still. Brave soldiers for Jesus. At that moment, something happened in the heart of Aglios, the jailer. What it was, only he and God will ever know. The guards reported hearing a giant cry. When they jerked him awake and rubbing their eyes, they watched as Aglios, the jailer, wrenched off his armor and ran out on the frozen lake shouting, 40 brave soldiers for Jesus, 40 brave soldiers for Christ. We'll be true to our God and stare death in the face, though we perish on the lake of ice. We'll be 40 brave soldiers for Christ. 40 brave soldiers for Jesus, 40 brave soldiers for Christ. We'll be true to our God and stare death in the face, though we perish on this lake of ice. We'll be 40 brave soldiers for Christ. Brave soldiers for Christ.